Hi everyone, this is my follow-up to my original video that I shared with you about my journey with the puppet theatre or theatre dolls tarot. I fell in love with this deck as soon as I saw it for more than one reason. Theatre is very close to my heart. I did study acting for 3.5 years. And the school that I attended actually grew out of a very well-respected theatre that is still running in Sydney. It has for many years, called the Ensemble Theatre. So as soon as I saw this deck, it did spark my interest from a heartfelt perspective. But not only that, I thought as a tarot deck, this is really clever and innovative and meaningful. If you think Shakespeare, you know, all the world's a stage and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts. How true is that? So I found this deck to be particularly inviting, and I love the artwork. You know, it's just different, and maybe you'd say a little quirky. I'm not sure whether that's really the right term, but it's innovative. So I ordered this deck. It came all the way from Russia, and I had to wait, you know, a number of weeks. I think it was about a month before the deck arrived. So you can imagine I was on the edge of my seat. Opened it up. I actually did an unboxing until I discovered that there was a card missing. And it kind of threw my attention elsewhere, and I decided just to can the video at that time and went through the deck. Then I discovered there were 2 more cards missing. Obviously, this was an issue or a hiccup at the printer for this particular print run. It's certainly not the fault of the provider of the store that I bought this deck from, the distributor, you might call them. But I shared in my earlier video, I was very disappointed because I wrote and wrote and wrote, and no one has ever bothered to write back to me. So I won't go into too much detail, otherwise I'll be repeating my whole video. But I'll just say quickly, I did give them the benefit of the doubt. We have language differences, we have cultural differences, we have distance, but I think I have given them long enough. And I can only say that if you are an online store who ships internationally, surely you would have somebody there in your customer service area that speaks English, or you would have some translation software. Otherwise, why distribute around the world? Why have a customer service that's open to everyone? So I think they're just ignoring me because clearly I have an issue. So what could I do? Well, in desperation, and you'll see what I mean, I grabbed a spare card from another deck. This is the Vision Quest, and I just had to trim one side away because it's too wide, and write the title. I know it's a classy piece of work, people. I sprayed the back black, and that will do. But of course, that's not good enough on a long-term basis, so I decided to take myself off to the printer's studio and order my own replacements to the best of my ability. So the only issue that I had, because this deck isn't widely popularized, you might say, I couldn't find the images that I needed. I'm not sure if I told you, they're 3 court cards, and I'm so damn grateful that it is court cards that if anything had to be missing, I would vote court cards before major, before minor also. So yeah, if it had to be a card, I'd say make it a court. But because there weren't many videos up on social media, there weren't many images, pardon me, there was nothing. The cards I needed were not there. There were only a few images of the majors at the time. But funnily enough, I left it a few weeks and went back, and someone clearly had purchased the deck and uploaded a number of images onto Pinterest. And would you believe the court cards that I needed were there? The only problem is they were low resolution. So what I had to do was find some like a free software website where I could increase the resolution, and I did. Now, they're not perfect, and I'll just say before I forget, I do believe that the reason the color is not quite as vivid as the original is due to the fact that mine were high enough in resolution to meet the standards of the Printer Studio requirements, but not as high as the original. So I'll show you what I mean. Here is the page of matches, and here's mine, new one. This is the night of matches. Now you can see the backdrop curtain is a different color. It's not quite as rich nor bright. However, I have to explain also that during this deck, the backdrop curtains change color even within the same suit. You can see these are both fire, but this more is a sort of a goldish color. So there is that. Here's another one. This is a little more towards a brick brown color. Oh, it's a bit glary, sorry, but you can see it's quite different. But I will still stand my ground and say this one here doesn't quite have the quality, if you like, that the original deck has. I need to pull my curtains. This is getting too glary. But I am so happy with the way this card turned out, though, the replacements that I got. First of all, you can see the size is different. Now, again, you need software. I don't have Photoshop. If I did, I would have been able to really up the ante and perhaps shrink this card accordingly, but I couldn't. I don't have Photoshop, so I did shrink it with my software, and technically it told me it was smaller. But what I found with the template is as soon as you upload the image, it fills the space. And there was like a part of the image spilled outside of the boundary. Hard to describe, but I don't want to bore you with all those technical details. But what I discovered was obviously I was going to lose the top half. But again, thank God it was a court card, because here you wouldn't want to lose the number. But for the court cards, you can see that the title is just written at the top in Russian. Do I care if the title isn't at the top in Russian? No, not at all. So I couldn't, at least with the skills I have, change that. It's just the way it is. No matter what size I reduced this to, it would still fill the space and the top of the card spilled over. What I didn't realize is that the Printer Studio are so damn good. They do write to you. For an example, they said to me, are you sure you want to go ahead with this order? Do you realize that your title is going to be basically chopped off? And I thought that was a wonderful service. So I wrote back, thanked them and said, just go ahead. But down the track, if I ever have to do it again, I might even write to them and ask, what do I need in order to prevent this sort of this spillage? I don't know what the technical term is. If you're a designer, you can let me know. But how do I reduce the whole image to get it to fit within this template frame that you're providing here? Because I couldn't do it. But again, I don't care. I just want those 3 cards so I have a full deck. The other thing I will say, so if you get really high resolution images, like if you scan them yourself, well, they're going to be top class. And I am so tempted to, when I have the time and patience, scan the rest of the deck and get a whole deck made with the Printer Studio. Now, it's printerstudio.com, and it's much the same as Make Your Own Playing Cards, by the way. The difference is with the Printer Studio, you can order a minimum of 10, and from what I saw, unless I was misunderstood, it's a minimum of 30 for Make Your Own Playing Cards. So I didn't want 30. I need 3. And that's the reason that I'm making this video, because I hope you never go through this, but I know some people have had, their little doggy chewed up a card, or someone sat on it and got lost, and, you don't want to have to buy the whole deck again just for 1 or 2 cards. So this is a really good option. And again, this is just the way the image turned out. it's bizarre because you can see the original card is not as wide as the new, yet this image sort of fills the space more or less, and we only have about a 2 mil border. I don't know why that is. Maybe the software picks up the image and doesn't pick up the frame, the border. I'm not sure. But I love the way this looks. But if I reprint it, I have to work out, though, how to get the numbers on the top, or I have to settle for writing on with a Sharpie myself. Perhaps that is an option, and just leave the rest. But just to show you, here is a major. So again, you know, that's the thing, I may lose this, but I certainly don't mind if I lose that. So again, if you can line it up where you get the number at the top, but you don't get the title down the bottom, that's also going to work for me. So it's going to take a little fiddling around, but I would definitely be open to it, because it's amazing, you know, if this is about 5 mil wider, it looks bigger than that. It looks like you get more image than that. But technically, you know, you can see the difference in size. It's just amazing. It really comes to life for me in this particular size. So I'm pleased I did it, and something just went through my brain and out the other side, and I can't think of what it was, but I'll show you the other card. Here's the King of Swords. This is the new one. And again, this is pretty good. I mean, it's very clear. It's just not as I said, it's just the color just isn't quite as detailed. It isn't as quite as rich, but I'm still very happy with the way it turned out, considering I just found a low res image and then upgraded it myself. And then this one here is the third one. That is the Page of Cups. So I have the element. That's the most important thing. And again, I'm just going to have to, this one won't make any difference, just sort of trimming the very edge. It's more, you know, these, we have details. See, these spools actually have meaning. So it'll be a shame to lose a little bit, but there's not much I can do. This one, I may just trim down one side. I don't want to cut off the horse's tail. The horse actually represents life in this deck. So I think I can just get away with that. So that's pretty good. Now, here are the backings. The only other thing I wanted to show you is that the backings are, let me just adjust this a little. The backings, obviously the card is wider, but the image on the back is larger. So again, it seems that your image will be stretched to fit the template. So you just have to keep that in mind if you do decide to reproduce a card. But yeah, their customer service is excellent, and you can also, you know, always ask them, how do I go about this? And the backing, it's just slightly different. This one is a little flatter, as you can see. There's a slight sheen on this one, but when you're not in the glare, honestly, it is minimal. It's not going to kind of stand out crazy silly when you've got the whole lot of them together, you know, as one deck. So, okay, I had to take a break, so now I've lost my train of thought. Oh, I know what I was going to do. I was going to share with you my extra cards. I call them Oracle cards. The thing that spurred me on to do so is for two reasons. Number one, obviously I have 7 spare cards. I only needed 3 in an order of 10, so why waste them? I thought I may as well just, you know, use some of the images I have in my own library, so there's no copyright issues. And of course, this deck comes with 2 extra cards anyway. I did again share this in my previous video. So you have a question mark and like a haze there on the other one. And one card means you haven't asked your question specifically, like it's non-specific. You need to ask again and make it clearer. And the other card is your answer can't be answered. Sorry, your question cannot be answered at this time. There's no clear-cut answer for you at this time. So I guess that's, you know, for spreads, if you have a client who is asking for, you know, a specific answer to a specific question. So I really like that. And so I thought, why not add to that? So these are a few images that I took myself. This one is one of my favourites. I was actually laying on a harbourside beach in Sydney, and this guy is actually walking home. Clearly he's been at work, and there's a ferry wharf just over here, and there are houses over here. So instead of walking on the road, which is longer, he's taking a shortcut across the beach. But I just love the fact, look at that. I mean, even if I asked him to pose for a photo and I wanted him to be on the very edge of the sand and the water, like on the horizon, so to speak, he's just there naturally. He just happens to be walking there. There's sand beyond his feet, but you can't see it. And so I just thought that looked so cool. This guy on the beach, but he's got a briefcase and he's in suit trousers. Is that focusing? Not really. He's, there we go. Yeah, he's got his suit trousers and shirt and his briefcase, but he's walking on the beach. I love it. I just love it. So that's that one. Sorry about the focus. And these are just a few sort of elemental images I took. I thought, oh, you know, when they inspire me in any way, I will place them on Instagram. Here's another one. This one here, you'll see that there is actually, it's a beautiful gate, but it has a lock and a chain around the gate. So again, it's up to me to allocate a meaning to these cards, and, you know, nothing too specific, but like a generic kind of meaning behind each card, which gives an added sort of flavor to the read. And this last one, I have actually left it like as a landscape image because I really love that eye. So I don't mind if it's, you know, upright in a read. So you could say, you know, this area you really need a sharp eye, you need to focus, you need to look closer, go through it with a fine-tooth comb, read between the lines, all that kind of stuff. So again, I'm really pleased with them, and I think it'll be just fun to experiment and see how these cards come through for me. And that's the thing, I have the choice. I can add them in for particular spreads and remove them for others, just as these extras can be added or removed depending on your needs, depending on the type of spread you're doing, etc. So I think I have shared everything I wanted to share. Just in case, I'm sorry, I'm having such a busy week. I'm a little bit brain dead today, so forgive me. But just to give you an idea too, if I didn't say this earlier, the size, the quality of the stock is very, very similar to, this is an AGM Urania, I think it is, if I remember correctly. There, AGM Urania. Oh, my focus. Okay, you can play whenever you want. Thank you. So here we go. Yeah, it's very similar to US Games, isn't it, really? But this, not only the size, here's the Vision Quest. The size is pretty well spot on, just in case if you ever have to use this software and you need to reproduce a card. This is a great deck to use as a guide, as well as the Joie de Vivre. It's much the same size. Like, it might be an absolute mill out on the top, but all in all, you could order these, and this is US Games. Oh, yeah, I feel this has got a little bit more punch to it even than the US Games. It does. So it's more like the AGM. Very, very similar. So I would use, if you have the Vision Quest, I would use that as my guide, not just for stock, but for size, and you can't go wrong. So hats off to you, printerstudio.com. Thank you very much. I'm as pleased as anyone could be under these circumstances. So what I am going to do, folks, is I'm going to scan these new cards in their entirety, just in case I'm unable to get another high-res image, and then I'm going to cut them down to size to meet with the original deck, and then I'm going to play. I hope down the track I'll be able to pick up another version of these missing cards in a very high resolution state, so I'm assured then that the colours will all be the same. But wow, I can totally understand why Christine and Celeste did what she did with trimming those other cards. Again, I think it does require a lot of patience, but it's worth it in the long run. So there you have it. That's my final. This is where the story ends with regards to the Puppet Theatre Tarot. I can now at least use it as the deck it's meant to be, and even if these 3 cards are slightly different due to the borders and having no titles at the top, it's certainly not going to stop me, because it's the images, it's the artwork that's what takes you on the journey. So I really, really don't mind about that. So there you have it. Wishing you all a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you soon, and thanks so much for watching. Bye for now.